Hi friends, today we are going to be painting this very lovely, whimsical, folk art inspired landscape, and we are going to be using our Danielle Smith introductory set once again. We are going to be working on color theory in our series, and we are using a tetrad of colors. Using the tetrad of colors, we are exploring and having fun in our sketchbooks. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, we are gonna take a minute for you to go ahead and look at the painting, or not the painting, but the drawing. But this way, if you want, you can go ahead and sketch it out, pause it, and then I am gonna go ahead and lighten this up. And we are going to begin today with our color theory once again, and we are going to be using a tetrad of colors, which means they meet at 4 points. And the 4 points that we are going to be using, we're going to be going with like a reddish color, a yellowish green, the blue, and then, well, it's the green, the blue, because it's here, the red, and then the yellow orange. So those are the color theme we're going to be sticking with. Once again, we're going to use our Danielle Smith introductory set, and with the 6 primaries, and using the split primary palette. So our colors, once again, will be Hansa Yellow Light, New Gamboge, Pyro Scarlet, Quinacridone Rose, Ultramarine Blue, and a Phthalo Blue green shade. And I mixed it, had a orange, a purple, a green, and a brown for a base to save some time. And I did it in a pan. So we're going to begin with, I'm going to lighten this up and we'll begin our color mixing. Okay, I want to make sure we're all in focus so everything can be seen. Okay, so I always begin mine with flipping this upside down. We are going to use the Etcher Everyday Sketchbook once again. And we are going to begin, I want to use my Winsor & Newton Cotman size 10. Now, I drawn out the moon, and what I want to do is I want to make a dark. So I'm going to go ahead and take my ultramarine blue, because I want this extremely dark. Maybe a little bit of the phthalo. And then I'm going to take some of my Pyro Scarlet. And we're getting there. And this is where color mixing comes into play. So it's purple. And what we're going to do is going to take a little bit of this New Gamboge. Rinsing my brush before I go into yellow. Okay, so I got it to this brown. And then, so if I take some more of this ultramarine, and you guys are probably hearing my birds, they're pretty ticked off right now because I am back here and they're not. I want to make a whole bunch of this, but as you can see, we'll put our color up here. We got a nice neutral dark. And that, my friends, is color theory. And the power of exploring color mixing. So we're going to go ahead and I want to paint my sky. And if we need to go back over it to make it darker, we can. You can hear my birds. They are going off. And so I will deal with that in a few. If you guys can just momentarily bear with me on that. This is not a good time to have that distraction. So we're going to go over and around our moon. My birds, they get so mad when I am back here. And I am loving this color. Because with putting the dark and having the light, it's really gonna contrast. So hopefully I don't have no problems in this video and being a mile long. So I'm gonna move along here because I'm recording from my cell phone and I need a little computer help before I can start using my webcam. So it is what it is right now. So we're going to put that a little bit darker here. Going back over, I always seem to want to mess that up. And there's our shade, so we can go ahead and turn this back around. And we can begin with our hill down here. And with our hill, we're going to go ahead with our yellowish orange. Making sure I rinse my brush because I do not want to contaminate my colors. And you guys, this is what you don't ever do. I will be right back. I just put it in. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to use my smaller brush. And this is my silver black velvet size 8. This way I have a little bit more control. And I want to make sure everything is within view, and it is. Okay, wonderful. So, we're going to take this, our yellowish orange, which is our new gamboge. And you guys, bear with me. I am going to be getting a new mic here in about 2 weeks when I can financially afford it. But so I'm going to go ahead and put our new gamboge here. And basically our next lesson we will be talking about water control. But we're going to use kind of a tea consistency to begin with. And I am going to go ahead and I am going to go over the whole hill because the bushes there slash kind of tree is going to be done in a greenish color. So we can, that's darker than this yellow color or yellow orange. So we're going to go ahead and fill that in. Okay, and then this hill up here is going to be a green. So we can go ahead and I want to fill that in as well. So for our green color, we're going to go ahead and take some of this our new gamboge, and I want to take some ultramarine blue, and with them both leaning more towards the warm side of the color wheel, they will make a very pretty, more on the muted side of the green, and that's what we want. So we're going to make sure we mix up enough. But I love the combination that the New Gamboge and the Ultramarine gives. So we're going to go here and we're going to kind of work around our bush, but it don't really matter for our bushes because they're going to be our reddish color. And with that being with it being a reddish color, the green is naturally gonna make it a bit darker. So it's just gonna just add to it. So we can go ahead and go over here, and once again we're gonna use a tea consistency, and we will get into that on our next lesson for water control. Carefully with the roof. And that's why I like this silver black velvet. It don't have to be perfect, but in there. But I love that color. And I want to make it a little bit darker on the bottom, so I can take our neutral color that we made, and that's too much water, so I'm going to soak a little bit of that up and just kind of push and pull it, and using the tip of the brush to shape it a little bit. But we can take a little bit of that neutral color, just making sure we don't have too much water on our brush. But while this is wet, kind of pushing and pulling, we can have it a little bit darker on the bottom. So now we're going to go ahead and let this dry, and when we come back we will finish with our hills. Okay, so we're gonna do our hill down here in the bottom, and what we're gonna do is I want to start a little bit with this lighter shade, and then we'll add in the darker shade. So with the lighter shade, it's a little bit more on the warmer side because it has more yellow. With the darker, it's a little bit on the cooler side because it's leaning to more on the blue side. So that is more on the cooler side. So this way we can continue, talk about color theory as we continue on. And I switched to a smaller brush, which I wish I went out of. So I'm going to go back to my silver black velvet size 8. And just kind of dabbing it off to have a little bit more control of the water. With the other brush, it holds less water, and I'm not getting exactly the blend I want. So trying to get this all uniformed, and then but maintaining that water control. You don't want it too wet. I'm gonna add some of this darker color in. Okay. And this should all mix and mingle and all that. I'm just watching my brush strokes. Okay. So now that we got that, we can go ahead and I want to put our trees in here. And for that, we're going to go ahead and take our Pyro Scarlet, and I'm going to take it over here. And with us doing it this way, all of our colors are going to coincide with each other. So I want to put and trying not to put my hand in it, which I did, but I want to start kind of darker here. So taking the tip of the brush and going along carefully along the house and the other hill, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. And that was a little bit, that was actually kind of a lot of water, so I wanted to go ahead and spread it so this way it's not too much. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this darker neutral color here and mix it in and putting it in the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of this Pyro Scarlet, and then I'm going to put it on this side so we know the colors we have used. And then taking it a little bit darker and putting that beside it. And I want to dab that in while it's still wet. And then we'll add more detail. So going ahead and taking this reddish color, this Pyro Scarlet, but it has little sorry, I'm going to go through a cough and fit. My throat is like really itchy right now. So here in a second, I'm going to go take a drink and come right back. Okay, so we are going to go to the other hill. And this color is going to be a orangish and a little bit more red. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pre-mixed orange that I had done previously. And basically all I did was take the Hansa Yellow Light and the Quinacridone Rose. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this Pyro Scarlet to it. I'm going to take in a little bit of water. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it down here. So we have our color. And then I am going to dab it off because I do not want too much water. And then we can begin filling this in. And I like to use the point. But when we use these colors, it works. The colors go very well together because of it being a part of that Tetrad. So, which means 4 points of the color wheel. And using color theory is just really nice because it keeps everything in harmony and you don't get those muddy colors unless you actually want mud, you know. And that's the thing with color theory. When you explore it and you play with it, you get to know your colors better and what colors make what. And before you know it, which is great for, because with watercolor, a lot of times you have to work fast, depending if you're working what on what. So if you know color theory, you can mix your colors a lot more efficiently and a lot quicker and which makes things a lot easier when you're doing the wet on wet and not trying to get those hard edges. And like I said, our next lesson, we will be going over some water control tips. But I wanted to have another video on color theory because I love geeking out in color theory. So this does not have to be perfect. And then I'm going to take a little bit more of our neutral color and I'm going to add it to that orange mix. And if you guys want, you can mix your greens, your blues, and all, or greens, purples, oranges, and neutrals ahead of time and let it dry down in a pan. And that's what I did just to have a baseline. And I put a little bit darker on the bottom. And that's fine. So now we can go ahead and I'm going to take a smaller brush. I'm going to use my size 4 Princeton Heritage Round. And I'm going to take our neutral color here that we had made. And today we don't have to put no doors in because we're doing this side and the back of the house, which makes it kind of nice. So taking this mix here, and then I want to just lighten it up a hair, kind of dabbing it off because there's a lot of water. And I want to go ahead and do the windows. So we got one here. Hopefully my head and everything is out of the way. And then 2 windows there. And we can make these a little bit darker. I didn't want it as super dark on the side because of the moon shining there. It would cast a light. And then we're just going to very lightly have a line. And for our res, we're going to go back over and we're going to fix that on up. So now we can go ahead and go to our bushes, and we're going to go ahead and make these a green. I tell you what, I love these whimsical landscapes that are folk art inspired. They are so much fun, so cute, and it is a great way to practice in your sketchbook and fill them sketchbooks up. Okay, so we got that, and we will fix that up. So for our moon, we're going to go ahead and we'll fill that in, but we're going to let this stuff dry, and when we're going to come back and we'll add more detail. Okay, so now we can go ahead and put in some details. So I want to take some of our, first of all, with our Pyro Scarlet, and I'm going to take a bit of our green because I want it a little bit darker, a little bit of our neutral color here, which we're almost out of. Just trying to get it a little bit darker on this side. And it ain't going to be much, but you'll still be able to see it. Okay. So, I'm going to take some of our ultramarine blue. I'm going to take a little bit of our Pyro Scarlet, and it's going to take it to that purple color. And then a little bit of our New Gamboge, and it's going to take it to a brown color. And then going back to our ultramarine. More ultramarine. Oh, there's Phthalo. We don't want Phthalo blue, although that does give us another neutral, but we want the Pyro Scarlet. And what we're going to do is I want to mix this with some of the green now. And I want to put it some shading. And I'm doing it on this side for two reasons. Because the moon, I want it to be more like glowing on, you know, on the fronts. And more on the back. So like towards the moon is going to be lighter. And then away from the moon is going to be darker. And then just kind of wetting this so it just kind of blends out. You just... because I want it to be blended out, but you kind of want that shading. It really does make that difference, you know, because if you do it all one tone, it makes it look boring. So got a little bit of Phthalo there, but that's okay. We just don't want the brush to be too sopping wet. And we can blend this out and then still taking a little bit of that darker, just making sure you don't have too much water on your brush because it will cauliflower, and blending it out. Okay, so we got our little trees here. And then, so now we're going to go ahead and do the same. I want to put a little bit darker on this side. And then we're going to blend it out. Making sure your brush isn't too wet, just very light, just kind of damp. You just kind of want to smooth it out then. There, and we will be adding in a little bit of detail to it. So okay, so we got that. So now we're going to go ahead and take some of our Dr. Martin's pH white, and we have a tree that we're going to put here, but we're not going to do it until we get this in. I want to put the moon in first. And I like for the moon to be pretty bright. So I like using, I actually love using this PH Martin. It has became one of my favorites. I used to use gouache, but I find that I think I like this a bit better. So, and that's what I use. And that's spreading this out. I hope you guys have been enjoying this color mixing and color theory series. To me, it is so fun exploring color mixing. And it is a good way to learn your colors and save money as well. not to mention, if you're limited on space, it also helps having a limited palette. And I think it keeps having a limited palette and no one color mixing. It makes everything a lot more cohesive and with color harmony. So here's our moon. We're going to go ahead and let that dry. And then I'm going to take some water down and I want to put in some stars. So we're just going to sprinkle that on top here. We got one there, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take a very small size 0 brush and we're going to add in some of the details of, and this is what I love making it so whimsical. So I'm going to go ahead and move our palette out of the way. And I am going to add the whimsical touch. And with the speckles, it'll work. So, and just taking, my hands are so shaky. So good thing we're doing trees, right? I want to put in some little branches. Okay, there's our first one. And I should have began the other way, but with me having those drops right there, I really wanted to, I had to correct it. So we're going to do another little whimsical tree. And you want to be very light-handed. Right now it's hard for me to do it because, one, I'm trying to keep my head out of the camera. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the way. And my hands are shaking awful. And it don't help. I think I had a little too much caffeine. Anybody done that where you just drink too much caffeine and you get the shakes? I don't normally drink a lot of it. I think today I had a little too much. But I have really been loving some hot tea. Okay, and there's that. And then I want to go ahead and add a few more stars. Some are lighter, some are darker, some are bigger, some are smaller. And that is fine with me. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put there. We might opt to use a fine liner. But I love putting these little touches on it. It just gives the painting a little bit more of a whimsical feel. There's my birds again. Okay, so there's the first set. And then we will put in the tree up here, but I want to get these done first. And then, once again, if your brush feels a little too dry, make sure you go ahead and add some water, making sure you don't use it. And once you guys, as you know, you guys, if you don't have the pH Martin, believe you can use gouache, you can use a white gel pen, a Posca pen, acrylic, whatever you have, color pencil, whatnot. It does not matter. We are sticking with the theme of this is all just improvement for our mental health and well-being. That's why I love these little whimsical ones. There's no pressure. As soon as it feels like there's pressure, it's just no good. Okay. And then we have our little like bushes type things here. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a few branches. I love how it looks. I'm looking for it to take in the tape off. I think that's part of the magic too, is the big reveal. Nothing is like the unveiling of the tape. And then our last little one here. And you guys can do your branches however. There's no right or wrong. Okay. So, we got all that done. Rinsing my brush. Okay. And so now, what I would like to do is take some of our neutral once again and bringing it back. And I want to put in our little whimsical tree in front of the moon. And basically I'm just trying to put in these little whimsical little branches. And outside of the moon is going to be a little bit, you're not really going to see them that well. So, oh, I love that. Okay. So we have our little moon. So now the last thing is just to put in a touch of shading. So I'm going to go ahead back to my number 4 round. And then I'm going to take that neutral mix. And I am going to, I think I'm going to make the shadow go this way. And then trying to add very lightly some of these little branches and stuff. And you don't have to do this, but I just think it gives it a little bit of a more dimension. Okay, kind of, there we go. It ain't perfect, but that's okay. You guys will get the gist. And then doing a little bit of shading here for the, like that bush, and then kind of one here for that. And that's a little bit taller, so trying to keep that in mind. Trying not to be too fussy. And then a little bit of shading here for this little tree here. And then a little bit here for the house. Okay, we're gonna let this dry, and then we come back. We'll see if it needs anything else, and if it doesn't, we'll remove the tape. Okay, now it's time for the reveal. Excuse the paint on the hands. This is truly one of my favorite parts. You guys, thanks for watching. Everybody who has newly subscribed, thank you, and God bless. And you guys have fun and happy painting. Bye, everyone.